Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Recently in this new update, there's been a lot of stuff and I want to go over the things I really like because I mean, positive reinforcement is good, you know, and I want to go over mainly two things that I really do not like in the new update, or at least I think should have been adjusted. And this will not really be a rant video, but I will definitely be talking about some things that I just need to get off of my chest and give some suggestions as to how to adjust things to make it a better experience. Because I have been playing the game for a while, I've been seeing other people play, and in the things I'm going to talk about, it is really freaking rough. So, first of all, what I do want to mention first is the new malware call changes are really good. So first of all, you can do background fights now. And what you can do is you can add certain types. You could press the background fight and it just does it in the background, which is really cool. And my favorite part about this part is the fact that at the end, it lets you claim whichever ones you want. It shows you how much you've completed and it lets you claim or discard, which is really cool. Great interface. Not only that, where it shows if there's a Goblin King now, that's really good. I like the malware changes a lot, and I really like the new Keystone, personally. Now, the new Keystone is very difficult, but as you can see, I did buy it. Don't ask. Anyways, the reward was really good. I got a variant gem, and not only that, they were pretty interesting. Now, a different map, obviously, but my favorite thing is obviously the monsters are a lot harder, they're a lot more difficult, but it was actually a lot more relaxing because there was no boss that spawned. So you could see that as like kind of a downside, but for me that was a big upside. I was able to actually focus on the other mobs, which were once again very difficult, instead of having to worry about some BS boss that revives and then stacks their damage 500,000 times, and then they start doing 300,000 a hit, and it just runs through, or Baron who spawns skeletons or shields or whatever. You know, this is the most annoying part of these malware runes. It was nice to have a change of pace, and all I will say about this is the one thing I don't like about these new malware calls is we need to be able to get more of them, because I enjoyed them, and there's only currently 2 spots you can get it, which is Guild Boss 2 and, or I guess Matrix, not really Guild Boss 2, and Apex Shop. And these are freaking expensive. This is not on my list of things that are bad, but another thing that's bad is going to be the fact that these are so expensive. It's 8,000 for a random obsidian thing. This chest specifically, I got basically nothing from. The other chest, I got a variant gem, the one from Matrix. And then Destiny Demon Chest, it's a 10% for a captain. I'm probably gonna have to buy it because I don't have a captain. But I genuinely think that 15k is ridiculous. And I think that 8k is ridiculous. And 1500 is ridiculous. This should be like 5,000 at most. This should be like 4,000, 3,000 at most. And then these should be no more than 500, if not less. I think the devs don't play their own game by the amount of prices here. Almost no one I know of maybe one person with a Natty A5 Lady A, and they've been playing Arena consistently for forever, right? There's a couple of people with Natty A5 Lady A's, but those people are insane, and most people are struggling to even get one copy, or to even get a Soul Stone. And then when you add something like this, at this price, it really just speaks to, oh, these people really don't play their own game. It's ridiculous. We have that right there as well. Now, some other things that did come with the update that I really like are well, I wouldn't say really like, but I think the demon soldiers are interesting. But this really feeds into the exact issue with GVG recently, which has been demon soldier chests. Demon soldier chests are miserable. They're heavily RNG gated, and every new thing in them is impossible to get unless you're incredibly lucky, and they really shift the meta. The new demon captain specifically that came out is so broken, it is insane. You can just essentially place them down, they do damage reduction, They have a manual ult for some reason, and they're just unkillable, essentially. Not only that, they heal when they die. Not only that, they freaking heal themselves. It's so dumb. And that brings me to the first thing I really don't like about this update. We have the Pantheon. So there's two things here. Number one, I do like that Pantheon stuff is useful again, right? A lot of people have too many of these. You know, they've been doing freaking faction trials for 2 years. It's a good thing to have ways to use them, right? I like that. But this causes issues in two main ways. Number one is you are gated if you have not been playing for 2 years. The thing is, a lot of the new updates in this game have been specifically to avoid making the gap larger for, you know, people who've been playing for 2 years and people who've been playing for 1 year. You know, the goal of a lot of changes, at least from what I've noticed, is to try to shorten the gap, to allow everyone to have fun. And what this does is it means, oh, you've been playing the game for 2 years. Well, enjoy having tons more stats in the main PvP mode that people enjoy, right? Well, not enjoy anymore for most people, but at the end of the day, people enjoy this mode, right? So if you haven't been farming this every day, you're going to be at a disadvantage. If you started playing later and you liked the game and you decided to invest money and are trying to be competitive, you're not going to be able to compete purely off of that. Not because, you know, you haven't been farming, not because you haven't been trying, not because of anything. It's basically, well, you played less time, so now you are less valuable, essentially. Which is a big reason why I don't like the captain chests. Because the captain chests essentially say, no matter what you do, no matter what you try, you will never be as good as someone luckier than you, or someone who has been playing longer than you in the Pantheon case. I feel like a lot of stuff, especially in PvP modes in these games, I really think that you should have hard work rewarded in a way that is accessible for everyone. And when it comes to things being luck gated or time gated to this extreme, that's really lame. Now, what I would have liked to see is, I'm not saying that doing faction trials every day is not worth a reward. It is, but I think they should have just introduced a new currency, right? Because it doesn't make sense to make this old currency, at least in my opinion, because now people are super far ahead and people are really far below. So I'm not a big fan of that, but that's not the biggest thing I have to say about this. The biggest thing I have to say about this is demon soldiers are too strong. Now, I'm not going to show too many examples, but every demon soldier gets a ton of flat stat increases and like 16% freaking HP and attack. So, as you can see, I'm in mad. This defense should be pretty good, right? I could put this in a way where they'll die to rocks or whatever, and you could send either a grotesque fiend, or you could send mainly frost soldiers or swarm, and there's nothing I can do. This defense is garbage, and it has the best tank in the game, the problem tank that basically can't die. It has a great CC unit and damage dealer. It has a good damage dealer in Lord, and it has a good damage dealer. And then the best healer in the game. This defense is garbage now. Now, already having a Karn defense has been suboptimal, or having a Lily or an Ezrein or something. These defenses don't work at high level. They just crumple like paper, and it doesn't matter. Well, now it doesn't matter even more, right? So that's a little bit lame, and with the new captain, it's essentially going to come down to who has Glacius, who has freaking the new demon captain, and who has been playing for 2 years versus been playing for a year, or has not farmed every day because, you know, why would you? For no perceived reward, right? So essentially stuff like this comes down to that factor, which is a little lame for me. It just feels like every season GVG becomes less of like a skill thing and more of just do you get lucky with demon soldier chests, or have you, lucked into preparing for stuff like this and have been playing for a while? It just rubs me the wrong way in the main PvP mode to be gated in ways like this, right? Now the other thing I have to mention is Matrix. So Matrix is a little bit of a weird thing to talk about, because there is good stuff with the new Matrix rework, in my opinion. Mainly, the thing I like is I feel like the lower end, people who are getting about 100k, I feel like they have an easier time. And I think that's a good thing. But once you get past a certain point, the new Matrix becomes miserable. Okay, I'm telling you, it becomes really bad. I'll gear this team and I'll show you what I mean. But Matrix is, after a certain point, like after 120k, becomes so much worse. It is kind of crazy. Going into this, I do have to preface that there is like a secret strat that makes this substantially easier. It's the reason why Jensen got 160k, and I'll cover it a little bit later, so I recommend waiting until that video. But for now, I want to show you guys the run that I did, as someone who, for reference, was getting about 153k before the update. I was hitting 150k with, A3 Valara, which obviously still really good, but compared to the other people getting 150, I've put in my work, right? I've done tons of takeovers for high scores. I know what I'm doing, right? And using a similar team, which I had to build it a bit differently to survive a little bit, I was only able to get about 148k, which is, not terrible. But the reason why it gets really tough is because of the mechanics. So the main things I gotta mention: number one, focus strike, which is a single target attack, no longer insta wipes if it kills someone. Now it only kills the person it hits and nothing else. That is a good change. That was something that should have been added. Now there is also two other attacks, one of which I think is a lot worse. And the other one is Pact of Silence. Pact of Silence, all you gotta know is essentially these stacks come up every enemy you kill. So the longer you go, the stacks build up. It increases the HP. I think it increases the defense. I'm not sure about that one. And it increases the boss's damage. So ideally you want less stacks. Well, how do you get less stacks? You kill things during the Pact of Silence. This is going to actually lower stacks, okay? So essentially, during this part, you'll end up lowering some stacks, but at the end of the day, if you're doing things the way I'm doing, it's just gonna build up over and over again. And then the last attack is essentially the AoE that puts out debuffs. Now, the reason why I think that the AoE that puts out debuffs is worse, now Ezra's freaking died. The reason why I think it's worse is because it is now a single hit. So what ends up happening is, if you even kill things, which is the point, obviously, you're going to struggle because it's going to build up stacks, and that single hit doesn't give you any extra flexibility. In the past, it would do 2 hits, so you were actually able to heal in the middle. Well, now it just one-shots your whole team, unless you have Carnelian, which I do, or if you have enough shields, aka Northerner Squad. It just, bam, one shot, you're dead. Doesn't matter what happens. And I don't like that very much. Now, why don't I really like this as much as before? Well, like I said, I do like that it is easier on the lower end. But on the higher end, it scales way too hard. And it makes it so that it's just a less enjoyable experience. And I didn't even think that was possible because a lot of people don't like Matrix very much. What I mean by that is, first of all, when you kill something like this, it just jump cuts to another one. That's incredibly lame and boring, right? Not only that, it's essentially just, you sit there, there's no, actually using any of the mechanics to your advantage. You just freaking put some DPS down and you pray. And that's kind of it. there was somehow more strategy in the other one where you would still just place them in auto. And overall, I really think that this is kind of lame. I think what they should have done is they should have just reworked a couple things, like either remove the timer and make it refresh like ABOC 2, or change the single target, because I think that change is good, leave the AoE double hits, and make it a lot more interesting with how these guys spawn. Because the spawning, I know some people didn't like because it delayed things, and when there was like a straggler, you wouldn't be able to do damage, and that caused issues. I think they could have just merged the two some way and made it so that the spawning was faster while also remaining the same, and I liked that the in-between phase is gone. But overall, this is just kind of lame, in my opinion, and after trying it for a couple hours, I have not enjoyed doing this. I'm gonna hit 160k because I need a demon captain for GVG, but like I said, the defenses aren't even hard anymore in GVG. It's essentially just gonna be who has higher Pantheon, and then in freaking Matrix, we're at the point where it's just somehow more boring than before. And the crazy thing is, once I learn a bit more about it, to my understanding, the way that you can do this better is you have to manual the entire thing. You cannot auto Matrix anymore if you want an actual score. So that's also a little rough when the fight is the way that it is. Anyways, like I said, malware call is very cool. I'm gonna claim both of these. 98%, I leaked one thing. All good. And now we claim our rewards. This is an amazing friggin' change. I really like the new malware calls. Anyways, after trying it out, let me know what y'all think about the update. I just wanted to talk a little bit because it was kind of bugging me. And you don't have to agree, but it's my video and I'm gonna talk to the void if I want to. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Destined signing out.